Hey friends, Gabriel here with a little update on soul purpose and prosperity. I'm just showing you where I am because it really is a beautiful, beautiful place here on the shores of Kootenay Lake. The wraparound, that's down the lake. West is behind me, and there's the sun on the water. The miracle of the sun walking on the water right there, the everyday miracle. And this is a significant place for me because I think it was 4 years ago I launched my coaching program for men, Alive on Purpose. Now I've got the hat, it says it right there, and I published my book 2 years ago, Alive on Purpose. And the very first video I made talking about the opportunity and inviting men to look at their purpose was made on this beach right over there, and I'm on that same beach right now. So I'm going to walk around it and reflect and do a little check-in around soul purpose and prosperity, because I've been coaching men now for this many years, and I've worked with men through lots of pits and towards lots of peaks. And the further I go down this road, the more impossible it is to turn back. And I was listening to a mentor just yesterday talking about soul purpose and, a framework to break it down. Because if you really want to get real, get raw, and stay relevant so that you get results in your life for the life you want, the business you want, relationship and health, all of it, you really have to start telling the truth. And usually I meet men in the pit because men will tend to open up to coaching when they're in pain. And I mean, the most common entry point is when the relationship is about to fail, and it's do or die time to make some changes. And that usually stems from something to do with health and self-awareness, maybe money, but it's all connected because the through line is you. As a man, the through line is you. You're the one responsible for your health, for your wealth, and for your relationships. And that's why purpose work is so pivotal, to get out of the pit. So the pit is the place of pain and shame and stuckness. It's the prison of the soul. It's when you've agreed to conditions that actually insult your soul. You've bought into stories of who you are that insult your soul. And that can work for a while, and many of us get hooked into those positions because we think, oh, well, it'll work for now. But then 2 years, 4 years, 5, 10 years go by, and we're still in that same place, that same prison, that pit. And the work of soul purpose is about expansion into freedom. That's ultimately the name of the game, is freedom through knowing who you are, knowing what you want. And thanks for the comments there. There's some funny comments on YouTube. So purpose is made up of 4 domains, 4 quadrants: your passions, your gifts, your rules, and your roles. And this is important because you need to know what lights you up. You need to light a fire around the thing that lights you up, because that's what's gonna be the lever when you do that thing that lights you up, that the world needs from you. You start leading in that space rather than denying yourself that thing, because enthusiasm moves the world. Enthusiasm moves the world. I mean, just like right now, I'm shining some light, and I got a lot of haters in the comments. So there's some movement happening. People are picking up what I'm putting down, and they're spitting it back at me. But I believe everyone alive was born with some gifts, and your gifts are yours to give. You are the gift, but also your passions are connected to your gifts. And so when you lean into what your gifts are and you say yes to that, you say yes to cultivating that, finding places to give it, finding ways to value those gifts, then you're on the path. And that's the path to prosperity. And it's not easy, but it's better than being in a prison because it leads to freedom. It leads to freedom. Knowing who you are, knowing what you want is what leads to freedom, and then taking action inside of that knowing. So the other two parts of that soul purpose domain was rules and roles. And your rules are like your operating system, your beliefs. Your rules compose, what becomes possible for you and what you believe is possible. And most of us really need someone to come along and shatter our frame and break down our false beliefs, because we end up, if we self-isolate inside of our own reality tunnel, we'll get into these rules that are limiting. And that's what coaching and mentorship is all about, is how do we raise our standards? And as men, which is who I mostly work with in coaching, men rise through challenge. They say the quality of depression is totally different between men and women. Women will resolve their depression or their emotions in absolutely different ways, because they'll talk about it. They're more watery. Their emotions flow differently. I don't know about better, but in a different way, different mode. But guys, if a man knew his purpose and wanted to pursue it righteously, he would crawl over broken glass with a smile on his face, because he would know that he's aligned with what he needs to do, that warrior spirit. And that's why a lot of the times therapy doesn't work for guys, because we can't just sit and talk about it. We need to be collided with, we need to be confronted, and we need to be invited and challenged to take action and make change. It starts with change, but ultimately the game I'm in is transformation. And transformation happens when we start telling the truth and listening to that voice of God within. I don't know what that voice is, even for the people I get to work with, but you do. You're the one who's either listening to it or you're not listening to it. And you're either marrying your voice with that voice within that knows, or you're denying it and you're silencing yourself. So that's a bit about the third one, rules. And the fourth one is important because it's about roles. So there's passions, gifts, rules, and roles. And when you align your roles, the roles you actually end up playing in the relationships you're in, whether it's your work, your marriage, your parenting, you're playing a role. And my question is, are you playing that role unconsciously? Are you just going along with the program? Or are you actively telling the truth and saying no to the roles that don't suit your soul, that don't speak to your gifts and your passions? Because that's what I want for you. I want you to light that fire for yourself. And it's not easy, because it's a leap of faith. That's why it's about unlocking that inner voice, that voice of God within you. But I know that when you get on that path, it's a game changer. And one of the best ways to change your game is to change your environment, change who you are. And that includes also looking at who you surround yourself with. And what is it? I think Tony Robbins said, we become the average of the 5 people who we spend the most time with. So that's a confronting possibility. That's a confronting possibility. So who are you spending your time with? Who are you allowing into your ecosystem, into your beliefs? What beliefs are you unconsciously colluding with the people who are around you? And are there people who light you up, who keep you on fire, who challenge you to become better? Because those are the people who I want you to put yourself with. Anyhow, that's my jam, and I'm just excited to be back here because it was, I don't know, 4 years ago I was on this exact beach talking about something similar. I was talking about purpose, but 4 years go by and I've learned a ton about business, learned a ton about marketing, learned a ton about sales and closing. And here's the final thought on prosperity and purpose. And this is really relevant because of inflation. And like even in the last 4 years, even in the last 1 year, like the value, someone told me the other day, the value of $100 in 2017 is like $75 now. Might be even more dramatic than that, but you know what I'm talking about. So how much longer can you continue to play a role that is not going to make you prosper? I went from working in a career that I hated, that had no future, working jobs that I guess I didn't hate them, like I could find a way to love them, but they were killing me and they had no future because of the pay rate. And I had to unlock those golden handcuffs and step out of them. But now I get to charge thousands of dollars. I'll do like $6,000 in one transaction or $10,000 in one transaction in my coaching business. And that ultimately because I'm responsible for my own results and I'm responsible for stewarding this mission I'm on, this movement of awakening and transformation. There's no limit. Like literally the sky's the limit. And that's what I see with, there's a plane taking off. Speaking of the sky being the limit, I'm right next to an airstrip. That's what I see when I lean into like the business world and the online business opportunities. Once you start to see your power and understand your calling, all sorts of worlds open up to you and all sorts of freedom opens up to you. Like right now I'm looking at some business opportunities to expand my own business that I would have never been ready to look at 4 years ago. Partnering with other products, partnering with other people, a former client, to be able to offer men's retreats and immersive experiential events for men to come down to a beautiful tropical location and do some powerful work. And I want to call it a retreat, but what I know is that most of the men who I'd be inviting onto this experience aren't interested in retreating. These are high performing men who want to advance. So I wouldn't even call it a retreat. I'd call it an event and a training and a warrior reset in nature, looking at possibly Costa Rica. But right now I'm just spreading rumors because nothing's confirmed, and we're still assembling a team. Look at that, there's a beautiful view right there. So I'm just saying, only because I said no to those limiting jobs and I invested money I didn't even have. And here's the thing, there's so much fear bound up in our relationship with money, mostly as a collective. Most people can't even imagine spending money they don't have. But I was in a position of pain. I was in my own pit. of feeling like I could not go on doing what I was doing, and I needed a way. I needed a way forward, so I ended up investing in myself and joining a program when I still didn't even really know what business was. Like, I'd never really thought that. It hadn't occurred to me in the trainings that I'd taken what an offer was, or how to market transformational leadership. And that's what I ended up in. And I was just guided by spirit. Like, I was just listening to my heart. But now, 4 years into it, the world's my oyster. And I've aligned myself with other mentors and brands like Wake Up Warrior, because they're on a mission that the world needs. You see, men have been sedated. As men, we've been castrated by decades or generations of programming that forces us to stay small and to ultimately live like slaves in lives of quiet desperation, and to not actually find our power, which is not even ours. It belongs to the greater good. But to align those places inside of each man, purpose, power, and courage, that's the three-edged blade of my message in my book, is how to align with purpose, power, and courage, and to create a life that unclenches from fear, so you can step into your power, backbone, heart, and balls. And here's the thing about fear. Fear is a vibration that's antithetical to wealth. Like, if you want to attract and create money and opportunity so that you can enjoy all the things life has to offer, you have to look at your fear. You have to look at your unconscious holding patterns and places where you're clenched. And it's usually unconscious, so it's in the body. That's why I say unclenching from holding patterns like that. You can find that book on Amazon, and it's a bestseller for men, and it's got lots of 5-star reviews, and it's a way. I had one friend read it who's also in the same field, and he said, man, this book is like a coaching program unto itself. Because the biggest threats to men are self-isolation and denial. Because the way the game is set up, it's divide and conquer. It's every man for himself. So men get isolated and stuck in their reality tunnels. But we're not designed that way. We're designed to exist in tribes and find our brotherhoods. So that's why, if you want to find my Facebook group, it's called the Alive on Purpose Brotherhood. And I share a lot of resources there, and it's a 600-man network. So that's really how, in my life, saying yes to my purpose and God's purpose for my life, to transform, to challenge, and to be the messenger as a writer and as a coach, as a facilitator, that's led to prosperity. And that's what I think everybody's birthright is, because you were born with a purpose, and when you unlock it, when you unclench from fear, you open up all sorts of possibilities. And it's not easy. I never said it was easy, but it's doable. It's possible. That's what I'm saying. So thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for being part of my ecosystem and being here on YouTube. I'm gonna shut down my live for now. Big love. Bye for now.